Yeah, I've noticed something very peculiar. There's a battle going on in social media and in science and all these locations where there's lots of discussion going on about the battle between creationism and evolution. This battle's been going on ever since Darwin published his book. And I want to chime in on that because this discussion has become very circular. It's like they use the same arguments over and over again. And it's getting actually incredibly boring. Nobody is really going at each other's throats. Nobody is really getting very aggressive with the logic they're using. You know, it's the same thing. The creationists are using Cambrian explosion, irreducible complexity, whatever it may be. The evolutionists are using always the same examples over and over again that macroevolution does happen. We have all these intermediate species. We have this, we have that. But nobody's going to the next step. There is no, like, come on, people, we can do better than this. There's got to be some way of explaining the origin of life from at least a philosophical angle. We need to understand that, look, we are supposed to be getting more intelligent every day. We're supposed to be discovering more things every day. In respect to the evolutionist, their theory is in a lot of trouble. There is so much evidence now and so much unsatisfied consciousness about this matter that evolution really doesn't answer very much. You know, when you look at the complexity, you can use your simple imagination and say, look, this single cell that is alive is so complex. Somebody has to have designed this, and somebody has to be maintaining it, and somebody has to be looking after this cell, and somebody has to be giving instructions, and somebody has to be doing updates, and somebody has to be providing biochemicals for this cell, and they have to be opening gates, and they have to be doing this, and they have to be doing that. The easiest way to defend the theory of evolution is to actually say that everything happened randomly and everything happened without purpose, and the song goes on and on. But if you look at their argument, it really is empty. And all this science is backing this up, and hopefully somebody is going to say like, this doesn't work. Doesn't work for me at all. And when somebody talks about religion, they do the same thing, and they say, oh, God created this and God created that in 7 days, and this happened, and everything fell into place perfectly. I'm the type of person that believes that in having dirt on your fingernails. I believe in these beings that are on the ground, however they made life. If they turned themselves into a fungus that made a shell and created life inside that shell and started the earth that way. Life, in both cases, the origin of life in both cases is being presented very simply. It appears to me that these examples of religious life, that God created life in 7 days, and then the evolutionist saying that, we had a puddle and this creature crawled out and started to come onto land and do this and do that. And then we have all of a sudden, 4 billion years later, we have this incredible biodiversity. Both those things don't jive with me because there isn't the hard work. Like, if you look at everything on this planet that was made by humans, it always evolves designers, engineers, logic, hard work, sacrifices in terms of labor forces. Everything is energy spent. And these two theories, basically, they don't spend enough energy for me. They don't tell enough of a story. They don't go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They don't do that. They just basically, boom, magical. We have all this diversity, and it always comes down to the ground. It always comes down to the mud. It comes down to the soil. It comes down to, riverbeds. It comes down to the environment providing the necessary requirements to create and maintain life. And when you look at this equilibrium or the connectivity or the balance, the balance in nature without human interference is a symphony. It is beautiful. It is logical. It is powerful. It is well organized. It is respectful of every single creature that is alive. It moves stuff in directions that will benefit the entire group. Even if you go down to a microclimate or a little biosphere, everything inside that biosphere is working together. Everything has its place. There's feeder species that are victims of meat eaters, predators. There's pollinators. There's this, there's that. Everything is perfectly balanced. So the next time you're thinking about how life on Earth originated, maybe it's time for you to consider that, the two options that you're given, religion and evolution, don't really satisfy you anymore. Maybe it's time for you to look at other alternatives. Maybe it's time for you to say, okay, maybe this guy's right. Maybe there is some aspect of, on the ground, in the ditches, in the swamps, in the clouds, in the riverbeds. Like there is an aspect of that where, the environment itself really dictates that something has to be everywhere on the ground in real time, doing real things, doing the dirty work, doing the creative work, doing the planning, doing the assessments, doing all those things. It can only be something that is in close proximity, and it has to be a supervised event. And I think evolution doesn't really include the supervision aspect of it. Like, how do you go from A to B? How do you have these throttling mechanisms? How do you have this explosive growth all of a sudden? How do you have this separation of species where there's, a feeder species for a predator to eat, where there's flowers that provide food for certain pollinators, where this circle of life is not explainable with, slow incremental evolutionary processes. There must have been, and I believe there is, a master plan of life. When these souls arrived on this planet, they said to themselves, look, we've got a beautiful planet that is capable of supporting life, and it has the ability for us to finally show off our diversity protocol to an extent that has never been seen before on any other planet. So the next time you pull out a drawer and you have 70 purple butterflies in that drawer, that's the moment you understand that this complexity of life is not random. It's not without purpose. It wasn't made in 7 days from the sky. And, it's time for us to really analyze how this life originated, who the originator was, or who they are, a plural. And all those things are very important if we want to get from A to B and understanding, is there really truly something living inside us that is controlling all our bodily functions? And it's up to us to, have an open mind and open discussion on figuring this mystery out. I think I'm not alone. I think there's many, 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 many people that are very unhappy with the scientific and religious options that we're being offered. They are very, very unsatisfying, and it's time to have a discussion about something more complex.